This distraction. Make noise. All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. And there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Shalom, Brother Marvin, man. Ecclesiastes 12 and 9. Let's get on to it. Peace, Brother Omar, man. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge, yea, he gave good heed and sought out, set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words and written up right words of truth. The words of the wise is goads, as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, given from one shepherd. Let's hit John chapter 10, man. Let's talk about this one shepherd aspect. Y'all know that's Ra'ah. You know the master's assemblies is he is the owner or the Lord or the ruler of a collection of learned men. Hush your mouth. Now, we talked about goals the other day, and you know that's something that pertains to a shepherd's tool, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, or the words of the wise or something that in that regard to provoke or stimulate someone to action or reaction. And then we'll look at goads and the term of pricks in a moment when he told when he told Saul, Shalom, Brother Marcus, about him kicking against the pricks. What I just said, John 10. What I want, probably about 10 and 14. Little bald head boy. Hey, little bald head boy. I make it 10 and 11. Shalom, Mamoon. John 10 and 11. I can't help you tomorrow. No. I am the good shepherd. And the good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. I believe in my memory served me correctly when we concluded on Saturday afternoon. We were in Ezekiel 34. We hadn't got through the entirety of Ezekiel 34, but we were dealing with the aspects of that he said that the shepherds hadn't came through and strengthened the disease. Let me take back and look at it. I think we was right there, you know, in verse 4. He said you have not strengthened the disease, you haven't healed that which is sick, you haven't bound that which was broken, you haven't brought back which that was driven away, but with cruelty and force have you ruled over these people. Nor are they feeding the flock. And I think we discussed those things. See, we were talking about this earlier today, man. I'm going to tell you something. Everybody want to preach some word. Peace, Brother Nate. Everybody want to talk. Everybody want to do all of that. But it's one thing that people don't realize that, boy, that's a full-fledged occupation. You may not see it as a vocation and occupation, but your maker does. See, it's not just something that you do because you feel like you got something to say. See, I'm not talking about in the aspects of, Shalom, Eric, man, of the internet either. I'm talking about like in real life. And people don't realize, well, that's a job, boy, and you're going to be held accountable. Peace, Brother Joe. You're going to be held accountable for this job. You know what I'm talking about? Like, this man literally says that everybody who does this, they got to give an account. Because he's hired you, Shalom, Brother Robert, he's hired you to do something. I think if you recall, we read Acts 20, where he said who the Ruach HaKodesh has made you overseers, because each individual congregation, you know, some people, I don't want to be a sheep and all this old the goofy stuff because you niggas too woke and too smart for your own damn good. But you don't realize that it's an analogy. You know, it's an analogy that's enumerated in Psalms 95, if I'm not mistaken, aside from Ezekiel 34 that everybody sees, the flock is men and all this other stuff, that people be trying to push pride and all this other type of thing. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at the words of the wise are as goads. The words of the wise are supposed to stimulate a piece each man, a particular action in the people. So what does that mean? You have to ask yourself, whoever you receiving word from, what level of motivation or stimulation of behavior, conduct, or activity is that word producing that you receive? Because he said the words of the wise are as gold, and that he that wins souls is wise. So these are the two key things, because people talk about wisdom, but they don't talk about the skill that's intained, because that means you know you're skillful in doing something. We read it a couple of weeks ago in Psalms 144. He said, I teach my fingers how to war. That's what he said you will do. He teach your fingers how to war. So he's supposed to teach you how to be skillful in war. I've told you this before. I'm going to tell you again. It's a war for souls going on out here. And while you skinning and grinning and playing games and poo-pooing and shoo-shooing and thinking it's a joke and it's a game, it's a war going on. Y'all remember what Ma Deep said? Shalom, Sister Regina. You know what Ma Deep said, boo? It's a war going on outside. You know what I'm saying? He said you can't be walking with your head down scared to look. You shook. Because ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. You say, yeah, them niggas never around when it pops off for my part of town. That's right. Ain't no man safe from. And when you turn around and look at it, right, Peter told you that your adversary, the devil, is going about look like a roaring lion. So it's a war going on outside. And if you not ran into the name of Yahuwah, because the name of Yahuwah is a strong tower, and those who run into it, they are safe, then you ain't safe out here, blood. You not safe out here. You know what I'm saying? You in danger. You in danger and get caught up in a war. You understand what I'm telling you? Indeed. Like, hey, it's dead serious out here, man. Because your life is on the line. Your life is on the line. And man, you don't want nobody who giving you Shalom 10K. You don't want nobody who giving you word, man, that they ain't gonna give you had the ability to teach you how to fight. That's like going to an MMA instructor and he don't know how to fight. Well, you gonna go in the octagon and get whooped. I'm talking about embarrassed. But nevertheless, I don't even remember what I was going to read. It don't matter. Oh, I read it already. John 10 and 11 again. Forgive me, y'all. My stomach don't feel good. I think it's in probiotics. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. So listen, right? Pretty much, Omar. Listen, right? Of course, we know that Yahushua is the chief shepherd. He's the good shepherd. But he said that this is a word. The words of the wise are as goads, as the master of the assemblies, as given from one shepherd. This one shepherd. Oh, no, not flesh and blood. No, ain't no flesh and blood war going on out here, man. It's a war for souls going on out here, man. There's people warring for your soul every day. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be through the people you come across, whether it be through entertainment, whether that's movies, music, or television, whether it be through certain religious sects, all type of ways, boy, there's a war going on for your soul. There's a war going on for your mind. You know what I'm talking about? You know, Goody Mob had a song talking about it a long time ago, man. We're out here fighting for your spirit and mind. You know what I'm talking about? And you don't realize there's people out here fight who, see, in Romans chapter 6, about verse 16, he tell you, man, whoever you lend your member servants to whom you obey, is to whom you obey, whether sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness. And it's the same way as the Lord said, Shalom, Sister Stephanie. Same way the Lord said, hey, man, whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin. Man, when you live in sin, you a slave to that. Because you're going to be a slave to your desires. That's why he say, hey, if you do good, shall you not be accepted? But if not, sin lie at the door, and your desire will be unto it. So you have to sit back and ask yourself, what are you going to be a slave to obedience, or are you going to be a slave to righteousness? I mean, that's what you're going to serve. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're going to serve. Some people are going to choose to serve their lust. That's why he say he that commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abide not in the house forever. That's just like with Ishmael. Ishmael was of the flesh. He couldn't abide there. That was for the children of the promise. That's why he said, if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. We discussed this when he say free among the dead. That's without debt, tax, or obligation. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about being free among the dead, you want to be free among the dead. As far as remember, he said, let the dead bury the dead. You could be walking around all these people around you and they all dead, but you free. The same way that you could be in the grave amongst the dead, but be free, because the debt, tax, and obligation of death don't rest upon you, because the Ruach HaKadosh of Hamashiach is present. Remember, he tell you, man, Paul, let it be known, man, what the Ruach of Mashiach is, there's life. Or i.e., he actually said, if you don't have the Ruach of Mashiach, you are none of his. You don't belong to him. And people take that thing lightly, boy, because when you close your eyes, when we talking about that Proverb 20, about the candle, the light of a candle in a man, well, when that light go out, man, if that man's soul wasn't in you, man, that man's spirit wasn't in you, when that light go out, well, you going to hell, bro. That ain't no, oh, you trying to tell people this here, man. That's the reality of the situation. See, the problem is that too many people don't want to sit back and let us know the reality of the situation that we're facing. I give an example just to tell somebody about this, right? Because it seems to be everywhere, because it's a case study, if you would, with the young man at Colorado and that woman he messing with. See, when you on the outside looking in, Shalom, Sister Kelly, you can see the negativity of a situation. But when you in it, you can't see the dire strait that you in when you in it. See, he in it, so he genuinely believed like, oh, this woman loved me. I love her so much, this, that, there, and the third. He can't see this woman don't really fool with you like that. And because you don't love yourself, Shalom, Jay, because you don't love yourself, you tolerate unacceptable behavior from somebody who only fooling with you because it benefit them. You know what I'm talking about? So when you take an individual such as the adversary, such as your enemy, the devil, he don't fool with you like that. But when you in the mire or whatever sin you in, and you surrounded by the people who will entice, persuade, condone, cajole, whatever adjective you want to use for you to continue to participate in that which is destroying you, because you in the midst of it, you can't see how dire of a situation that you in. You know what I'm talking about? So you think when people are warning you, saying, hey, man, this is what's going to happen, you keep doing, you thinking they raining on your parade because they can see, because they looking at it from a different vantage point. And unfortunately, sometimes people have to crash out in order to understand the situation that they're in. But see, the difference with this is, man, you don't want to crash out by dying and going to hell. That's why Paul say, knowing the terror of the Lord, man, we persuade men. Lord say, do you think all these men was Shalom, Brother Shaul, was the most wickedest men in Galilee? Let me read that to you, man. Luke 13, verse 1, man. Just pause and consider what he said right here for a second. I'm still in John 10. I ain't in no rush. That page gone. Is that page gone? No, there it is. 13:1. Luke 13:1. They were present at the season, some that told him how the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. Yahushua answered and said unto them, suppose you that these Galileans were sinners above all the Galileans because they suffered such things? I tell you no. But except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. Or those 18 upon whom the tower of Siloam fell and slew them, think you that they were sinners above all the men that dwell in Jerusalem? I tell you no. But except you repent, you shall all likewise perish. So let me tell you something, man. I used to tell people this here, man, when we would be in the street with it. And they used to be like, you know, these celebrities selling their soul and this, that, and the third. I say, that's cool. I say, but you selling your soul and you ain't getting nothing because you fornicating, you're lying, you're stealing, you participating in all this. You going to the same hell they going to. But you got it in your mind because you didn't, quote unquote, make a contract with the devil. You in a better place. But he said he that commits sin is of the devil. So the same condemnation that's on the devil, that's on you. You're not in a better place than Puffy is. You're not in a better place than Jay-Z is. I'm mentioning them because these are people who say, hey, he sold his soul. He's a member of the Illuminati. You're not in a better place than them. That's why you don't hear us. That's why you've never came on here over the course of years and hear us talking about that type of stuff. I don't care nothing about no Freemasons, man. I don't care nothing about no Illuminati members. I don't care nothing about no Shriner members. If we're discussing something and it's pertinent to the conversation, as far as historical context, for you to understand about those organizations and how they work and what their aim is, we'll discuss it. But if you think I'm going to point out celebrities and people doing hand signs and all that type of stuff, oh man, we well past that, brother. We well past that. That's elementary information. I don't give a damn about no celebrities. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be honest with you. If you're a grown man and you've been influenced by somebody who raps, sing, or dance, or run a football or shoot a basketball, well, you got bigger problems on your hands anyway. Because you being influenced by a nigga who you don't even know, who playing a character on TV. You got bigger problems. That means there's a multitude of things within you that are lacking that clearly you didn't get in your childhood that is causing you to want to be influenced by a caricature of a human being that comes through your television screen or through the airwaves of the speakers in your car. Shalom, Mother Shalom. And that is absolutely insane to me. Because I don't give a damn about Jay-Z. I don't give a damn about The Rock. I don't give a damn about any of these people. You know what I'm saying? Because you know who your greatest enemy is? You. Not the entertainment business. You. You know who the greatest enemy is to your children? You. Because what you have or don't have, what you do or don't do, impacts them greater than any celebrity could ever do. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down. To keep it a beam with you. But see, nobody want to talk about that. You know what I mean? Nobody want to talk about that because now you're going to have to do some self-reflection, some self-accountability, some self-assessment. If you devoid of wisdom, your children are going to be devoid of it. If you lazy, your children are going to be lazy. You know what I'm talking about? If you lackadaisical to your service to God, your children will be also. If you're not serious about your service to God, your children will be also. Because they're going to model the example that you set. It's just how it goes. That's why he say those who are over congregation, they're supposed to be an example of the faith. You know what I'm talking about? That's what you're supposed to be paying attention to. But nobody pays attention to any of that because you like cult of personality. And that's how you can deal with shepherds who will not strengthen the disease, will not do whatever, because they don't care. You understand? Let me read verse 5 of this Luke 13. Verse 6, actually. He spake also this parable. A certain had a fig tree planted in his vineyard. He came and sought fruit thereon and found none. Then he said unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and I found none. Cut it down. Why cumber it to the ground? And answering, said unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and done. And if it bear fruit, well. And if not, after that, you shall cut it down. Now listen, right? If this man done drop that seed on you, he'll give you some time period to see if you're going to bear some fruit. He going to give it a time period. See, some people see that's what grace is. No, we ain't talking about that type of grace, cuz. That's not what we talking about. You understand what I'm telling you? What we talking about is he going to see if you're going to allow that seed to take root and bear peace, joy, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness. You know what I'm saying? Gentleness, self-control, faith, love, whichever. He coming to see if that fruit is on that tree. And if he come up on you and he see ain't none of that, he gonna cut you off. That's what he trying to tell you. He just gonna cut you off. You cannot be around here playing with this and then it's not developing and producing what is supposed to be produced. And you think this man gonna keep fooling with you. He know you playing. Let me tell you something, man. This man's word is the most precious thing that you will ever receive. So you know what the problem is, man, when you have a gift and you don't realize when you have something, let me not even say gift. When you have something that's valuable, but you don't really realize how valuable it is, you don't respect it. I told you, you don't give anybody, children, anything they don't earn, meaning anything that they didn't have to work for, because they won't value it. You know what I'm talking about? They won't value it. Now, of course, you know, you didn't have to work and earn salvation. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about the aspect of appreciating something. See, if you don't really, now see, you appreciate and value your salvation that you didn't earn for, like when you read like what he said to Martha, or about Mary, when he said, you know, To whom much is forgiven, the same love much, because you have a greater appreciation for what it is that's being extended unto you. Now, when you don't really have an appreciation for the straight that you in from your conduct, then you don't value what he offering to you. So therefore, you're lackadaisical with it. You allow kids to do what they want. You give them what they want when they want it. They don't respect it because they didn't earn it. So they don't understand the value of what it is. We talk about it plenty of times. Most of you didn't have a value or respect for the value of $1, and still you stayed until the day that you started to have to earn your own money and pay for things yourself. See, I ain't talking about you got a couple dollars and you got to go to the movies and buy some sneakers. I'm talking about when you had responsibilities that you had to pay for, you had a little bit more respect for your money that you had, because that's when you began to appreciate what you had to do to make it. You know what I'm saying? And we neglect that. I heard somebody say today, man, rich kids cut with a silver spoon. They like this here. Every rich person don't give their kids everything they want. A lot of wealthy people make their kids earn what they get. They don't care that they're rich and they just let them float around and do whatever. A lot of the parents who rich who do that are parents who don't want to fool with their kids. This is what you get you the hell out my face. You know what I'm talking about? But a lot of them be like, no, I ain't giving you nothing. I don't care if I got $10 million, $100 million. I'm not giving you nothing. Everything you get, you're going to work for it and you're going to earn it. That's how you develop work ethic. If they don't have to work for nothing, then they don't respect nothing. And when they get older, they're going to be sorry. Work ethic can be intrinsic, but for the most part, that is instilled. And that's what I seen Shaq say he ain't giving his kids nothing until they bring home 2 master's degrees. That boy ain't playing no games. Omar said he's seen it in corporate America time and time again. Let me tell you something, man. And that's what the words of the wisest goals is, because you're trying to stimulate people to be motivated to do what is necessary. You're giving them the information and the skill so that they have the work ethic for their salvation. And that work ethic is not about keeping the law per se. You know what I'm saying? It's the diligence of bringing forth fruits meet for repentance and showing forth that you have believed the witness of God as he spoke. And then you have a pattern of good works. I think we talked about that pattern of good works a couple weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about no Sabbath days and dietary stuff, man. Because anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. But to take on the mind of Elohim, everybody don't want to put in the work necessary and required to do that. Back to John 10 and 11. Everybody just want to be called a pastor, apostle, bishop, pastor, evangelist, moray, chief priest, and all this other type of stuff. But most only want to work when they want to work, serve when they gonna get some benefit of it. They really don't work for this man, and we have not been trained to pay attention to, is that the character of God? Is that the spirit of God? You don't pay attention to that because you really don't care. I've told you this for years. Y'all niggas, what's good, though? Y'all niggas like gimmicks. What you like? That's why these people come with you with gimmicks. That's why they don't give you no word. Because you don't want no words. You want the gimmicks. You want the show. You want the personality. And that's how you're going to end up in hell. John 10 and 11. They say it's a norovirus outbreak. I don't even know what that is. I'm the good shepherd, John 10 and 11. The good shepherd give his life for the sheep. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, see the wolf come and leave the sheep and flee, and the wolf catch them and scatter the sheep. What is a hireling? I know y'all know what a hireling is. It's an actual question if you want to answer it, but it's really a rhetorical question because I'm not going to insult y'all intelligence like y'all don't know what a hireling is. But I'm going to give you the Greek word for it. That is misototos, one hired, a hireling, a hired servant, a wage worker. Now, when you hear him refer to these people as a hireling, what comes to some of y'all minds with that? Shalom, Mom Steph. What comes to some of y'all minds on that? when you hear him describe these people as a hireling who the sheep don't belong to. And this will take you back to what we were discussing in that Luke 17. And if I need to reread the definition of them words in Luke 17, I shall. But I like to know what come to y'all mind when you hear that, when he say these men are hirelings and not the shepherd. Mother Sharona say, prosperity preachers. My God, today. I ain't got no argument with that. Anybody else? And there's no right or wrong answer. This is just whatever comes to your mind when you hear hireling, as in the context that he's referring to, that what comes to your mind. It's not a scriptural answer that we're looking for. It's not a right or wrong answer. It's what comes to your mind. Remember, he says, whose own the sheep are not. And when they see the wolf coming, they leave you out here. He said, would that be equivalent to a maid servant or a male servant? Yeah, in a certain context. It's funny because we have been talking about that. The Hebrew word for servant is abad, and it has a multitude of definitions depending on the context. The English word used, it could be used when you're talking about a hired servant. It can be used when it's talking about a slave. It can be used when it's talking about a bondman. That's what you see in Leviticus 25 when he says, don't compel him to be as an abad, but as a hired servant, someone who is compensated for the service. Mama Steph say temp staffers, a part-timer. Say you ain't even got a full-time job around here. We might need you for a week. I think everybody done been to a temp service maybe once or twice in their life. Maybe you ain't never been at all. I'm gonna say a false prophet and such, Sadducees and Pharisees. They say you a temporary laborer. You ain't even a full-time employee. You say in Jeremiah 23, let's take a look. I know what verse you're talking about. Come over here to Jeremiah 23. Now, see, y'all know I asked all these questions in regard to, because I would like for your mind to move. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't always just be sitting around and waiting for me to implant a thought in your brain. Well, I mean, it's the motivation. Well, what I mean by it is y'all are fully functioning adults. You're intelligent people, and you've heard and read enough word to where your mind should be moved to where you can see things from your vantage point. Not necessarily with certain things trying to see it from my vantage point, but from your POV, or when you hear certain things, this will come to my mind. This is what I think about. This is what I see. This is the understanding that is coming to me at this particular time. You know what I'm saying? Mama Steph say a contractor, a 1099. You ain't W-2. You know what I'm saying? What verse bro talking about? I won't lose. We're going to pick up at verse 14. I know what verse you're talking about. I really talking about what verse I want to start with. Jeremiah 23 and 14. He said, I've seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem. Matter of fact, I'm going to back it up to 11. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith Yahuwah. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery. In the darkness they shall be driven on and fall therein, for I will bring evil upon them the year of their visitation, saith Yahuwah. I've also seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal and caused my people to Yasharal to err. I've seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem a horrible thing. They commit adultery. They around here prophesying, but they sleeping with men's wives. And they walk in lies. And they strengthen also the hand of evildoers. See, this is what he really referring to when he say when the hireling come through, they lead the sheep. When the wolf come through. See, y'all, let me ask y'all something. Y'all remember what David said he did with his sheep? Because we talking about shepherds, and do we need to read that too? Say, whoa. You promise? Yeah. Say someone giving some grace purpose with the expectation to grow to keep charge of some kind. That is true. Come over here to 1 Samuel 16 while we holding Jeremiah 23. You're going to do it? Do it right. You can do it, baby. You can do it tonight. That was your song, wasn't it? Let me see the first Samuel 16, what I want. Nah. We got to go over here with, there it is, 17. Let's see the verse that we need. We're going to pick this up at verse 14 because since we're talking about the Ecclesiastes 12 and 9, and I told you we're talking about the aspect of Yasharal being shepherds, and that the Egyptian had Yasharal in abominations because of them being shepherds. Now you have to remember this because the Egyptian culture and society was not built on the keeping of cattle. That's not what they did. So they had a disdain for that type of vocation. I'll make it verse 12, by the way. This is 1 Samuel 17 and 12. Now David, the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Yehuda, whose name Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men, an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle, Eliab, the firstborn, next unto him, Abinadab, and the third Shammah, and David the youngest. And the 3 eldest followed Saul. Now, you see, there's a difference. So like this here, when you talk about base things, I think we talked about this the other day. David was a shepherd boy. You know what? Do y'all remember what Saul's occupation was? Who remembers what Saul's occupation was before he was king? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come here, boy. That boy won now. And he still bald. He wasn't bald when he came out a year ago, but he bald now. Bald Jamal. That's right. A tent maker? No, that wasn't. Saul occupation wasn't it. You think about the apostle Saul. So yeah, you would be right. I'm talking about King Saul. I'm sorry. I'm talking about King Saul. King Saul. Does anybody know what King Saul was? Say tall, and that's all. Yeah. Saul was a shepherd too. Remember, that's how he ran up on Samuel, because he was keeping his father's sheep, and some of his father's sheep had got away. Now we're gonna look at that in the contrast of what manner of shepherd that Saul was. Oh, that's right, shoot. Happy birthday to Mother Sharona. That's right, Mother Sharona and Ball Mall share a birthday. I told you that. Yeah, it's sundown, so it's your birthday too. It's here too. So happy birthday to Mother Sharona. I'm gonna read verse 14 again. Come here, Ball. You say hey to Mama Sharona. She's saying hey to you. He don't care. He wants some bills. My boy like to chew on whole apples. Say hey, Jamal. He don't want to do no talking. Good day to you, sir. Don't take his apple. Don't do that. No, just leave him alone. Keep on now. Usher him out. Usher him out. Stop. You're gonna hurt it. Stop, Joanne. Now you're just being in court. You're just doing that for no reason. And when he get an age, I'm gonna let him elbow you in your nose. Verse 14, 2 Samuel. Why would you do that? And David, the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning, evening, presented himself 40 days. Jesse said unto David his son, take now for your brethren the ephah of this parch and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to your brethren. Let me drop down to the statement that David said to this man. Let's pick this up at verse 27. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to this man that kill him. Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. Eliab's anger was kindled against David and said, why come you down hither? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and naughtiness of your heart, for you come down that you might see the battle. And David said, what have I now done? Not a cause? And he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed before Saul and sent for him. David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail you because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are a youth, but he a man of war from his youth. David said unto Saul, your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he rose again against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. And the servant slew both the lion and the bear. And this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing as he defied the armies of the living Elohim. One of the key, come back to Jeremiah 23. One of the standpoints of what is being conveyed here. David had no fear and was willing to go deliver his father's sheep out the mouth of a lion or a bear. Let me ask y'all this question, if you recall. What is the significance of the lion and the bear in the book of Revelation? Let me see if y'all remember that. Hey, sit down and cut it out. Sit it down. I wish I had something. I'll bust you upside your head. What is the significance of this lion and this bear as it pertains to the book of Revelation? I see why you said that. That's not it right there, though. But that is said in there, so I can't take that from you. What is the significance of the lion and the bear in the book of Revelation? Going once? Going twice? Revelation 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, his feet as the feet of a bear, his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the serpent gave him his power and his seat and his great authority. Why do you think it says that his mouth is the mouth of a lion? What does he think this mean, that his feet is swift as a bear? And remember, David said he delivered his father's sheep out the mouth and paw of both of them. And remember, this man of sin, this beast is being described according to these animals. Because remember, it'll tell you that he has the second beast will come out and he'll have the mouth of a sheep, or horns like a lamb, but speak as a serpent. But you know, when you got this mouth of a lion, he's speaking as if he has authority, with the swiftness and agility to move as a bear. And the same way that David, the youth, the shepherd boy, delivered his sheep out of the mouth of a lion and the paw of a bear, his offspring coming to do the same. Indeed, there's to do the same. So what we're really looking at in this aspect with King David is that he was willing to put his life on the line for the sheep, to deliver the sheep. He would not leave them to be destroyed when an animal or an adversary came, because he wasn't a hireling. Those were his sheep. See, what a lot of people sit back and look at when they preach is like, nah, that's really not your sheep. Like, you may use, my congregation and this, that, there, and the third, just because that's just proper English sentence structure. You know what I'm saying? It's not really possessive in that aspect, in the literal sense. You know what I mean? Because, like, this is not my congregation because I'm not a hireling. I'm not being paid to do this. Remember what we read? He said we're unprofitable servants. We're doing what it is that our duty to do. See, there's a difference. See, a hireling, as I said, that's a contractor. That's a temp work. You want to be compensated for you. Do you recall when we read what Paul said, man, that I do this to make the gospel free without charge? See, now people hear this. This does not excuse the fact of you supposed to, the labor is worthy of his hire. It means that whether you compensated this individual or not, he's still going to do this work. You know what I take you back to? Take you back to your law when it said the Levites don't have an inheritance. Yahuwah is their inheritance. So whether the people tithe or didn't tithe, whatever, it didn't matter. Them men supposed to be about their business because they work for him. They're not a hireling. See, most people, if you ain't getting something out the deal, you ain't gonna preach. If you ain't getting something out the deal, you ain't gonna teach. If it don't benefit you, you're not gonna see about these people. If they're not giving you no praise, if they're not giving you no money, if them women ain't giving you no yams, you're not gonna go see about them. If they're not going to tell you you're the greatest pastor in the world and lift you up and up, you're not going to go see about them because you niggas is some busters. See, we were talking about that earlier, man. I told you about a dude who was talking crazy on that video, man. You got niggas, man, they done took this man's word and now they done became content creators. Niggas doing reaction videos to niggas' lessons and whatnot. How in the world did the word of Yahuwah become content, man? And niggas thinking they doing the work of the Lord by doing it. That's no disrespect to anybody who doing it, but that's not the work of the Lord, brother. The Lord did not send you to go make content. I promise you that. He ain't send you to do that. He sent you to go preach the gospel, to go proclaim his name. We ain't even got deep off in the 1 Chronicles 16 like we needed to. Come on back to Jeremiah 23. 23 and 14. They don't want to hear that. Because then that make it tight. That put us in a position people don't want to hear that. This man's word is not supposed to be for clicks, likes, and views. If you focused on clicks, likes, and views for the word, you are goofy. You know what I'm saying? There's something wrong with you. Who cares? If you talking about how many subscribers you got, how many views you got, how many members you got, man, you a hireling, cuz. You's a goofy. You don't work for the Lord. Nobody who worked for the Lord would even be concerned with those type, absolutely for entertainment, would even be concerned with those type of things. Because it's irrelevant, it don't matter. That's not wisdom. How is your wise words stimulated and provoking the people to godly action? See, pause. Let me show you a verse that say that. 2 Timothy 3 and 14. Then we come back to Jeremiah 23. And we holding John 10, by the way. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. It is what it is. You got dudes who say they teachers and whatnot take weeks off. If you the only preacher in the congregation, how you taking a day off? Nigga, you only work once a week. Nigga talking about he going on a vacation. For what? You better vacation them other 6 days, nigga. It makes how you gonna forsake the people to go have fun and you think this nigga work for God? That nigga hireling. That nigga come to work when he feel like it. Y'all don't even pay attention to that type of stuff. You be like, people need a vacation. If you work for God, you don't need no vacation. That man done plucked you from doing whatever it is you doing to come minister for him, and you looking back, putting your hand to the plow. Well, you ain't fit for the kingdom, nigga. That don't even make sense, man. I can see if you boys, these boys don't preach every day of the week. You boys work once a week. Once a week. 2 to 3 hours out that once a week, man. And niggas will slide, bro, and lead the people to their own devices. And you think these people care about you? Come on, man. How is he supposed to be feeding this man sheep and he could take a day off and leave you just out here floating that he care about you? How you even let that thought enter in your mind? That man don't care about his own soul, so he definitely couldn't care about you. 2 Timothy 3 and 14. And I ain't saying that for no other reason because y'all know that it's true. These people don't care about us, man. They care what they can extract. That's why the hirelings say, he ain't paying me enough to go out there with that wolf. That's why he say the slothful man say, I can't go out there. It's a lion in the street. The devil out there. I can't go out there. He ain't paying me enough to go out there. My God, today. 2 Timothy 3:14, man. Shoot, you could make it 13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue you in the things which you have learned, and have been assured of knowing of whom you have learned, and that from a child you have known the Kadash scriptures, which are able to make you wise unto salvation through faith and Mashiach Yahushua. All scripture given by inspiration of Elohim, profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. What is it to be thoroughly furnished? We ain't talking about furnishing no home. So what does this mean? What is he saying? And what caused this man to be thoroughly furnished to move unto good works? It's the words of the wise. And all the words of the wise is all the words of God. And when you get the words of God, it should provoke some type of action of perfection inside an individual. This Greek word is exartizo. It is to complete, to finish, to furnish perfectly, to finish, to accomplish. That man says so you can be thoroughly perfect and doing good works. That's being merciful, gracious, long-suffering, all that. You know what I'm talking about? Come on, Hebrew 2:1. Like, come on, man. Think about that for a moment. Let that resonate in your mind. You know what I'm talking about? See, it's a lot of things, man, we don't let that stuff resonate in our mind. There has to come a point in time where you get provoked under faith. The same way you get provoked under obedience. Hebrew 2:1 say, therefore, we ought to give more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest any time we should let them slip. Now, you know, we ain't talked about this verse here in a long, long time. But boy, when you don't take heed to what this man tell you, well, he'll let that stuff slip out your brain. See, we were talking about this earlier today also. You have some people, when they hear the word, they have an internal fight. There's a fight that their flesh and their spirit is having. And it just comes down to which one you're going to let win. But you have some people, they don't really have that eternal fight. They might have a little pushback, but they really, I was going to do what I wanted to do anyway. You got some people, you know, it's the weakness of the flesh. They may participate in untoward activity, but that's not necessarily their full desire inwardly. They just have allowed the weakness of their flesh and the weakness of the faith to overpower the righteous obedience of faith. That's a real thing, man. That's not, look at right. We could be in rooms or on certain stuff and be discussing that. And you might think that a person, at least with me anyway, may not have an understanding of the gravity of that situation. But I've been doing this a long time. So I understand the gravity of the weakness of the flesh and the weakness of faith that individuals have and how that can overpower what it is that they would do, which is what Paul was talking about in Romans 7. You know what I'm saying? Which is why the Lord told you watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. That's why he said that to pray that you don't enter into temptation. See, these are things that individuals, they don't pay attention to understand the seriousness of the matter. Because you have to be, you talking about you, when you watching over sheep, you have to have a care for these people. I mean, you got to care for their soul. That means you have to actually pay attention to X, Y, Z to be able to minister to these people, man. Not just slapping people across the head with precepts and think, job well done. You ain't did your job, blood. You ain't did your job. Because this man got care for his sheep. So if he sets you over them, he wants you to have a heart for them sheep like David. Because them was David's father's sheep. They weren't his per se. He didn't buy them. But in his mind, them was his sheep. Why? Because what my father has is mine, and he's given it to me to have care for. I put my life on the line for it. You see how that works? Do you see the prototype of what's coming later? See, that's the nuance of the witness of the testimony of the Son of God. These dudes don't have that type of heart. They don't have that type of heart. Because even with Saul, he was going to find the sheep which were lost. This is before Saul went sideways. When Saul was going out to find the sheep that was lost, that's when he came across Samuel and the Spirit of God came on Saul and God gave him another heart and he turned into another man. Because this is what people don't understand. When the Spirit of God come on you, boy, you turn into a whole different individual. Not a different individual as forth as you transform into a different type of flesh. Your inward man changed. Because at the end of the day, when you die, that's what dies, your inward man, your lab, your soul. That's why you can see the body, but the person ain't there. You know what I'm talking about? Because the flesh is one thing, your physical body is one thing, but that lab, that inward man, that's why he said he desired truth in the inward part. Because if that word is in that inward man, you'll live forever. But if that word ain't in that inward man, you're going to go to hell. And I almost forgot about that new heaven and new earth when we were talking about the other day. And when I said that, it brought it back to mind. Let me know if you got your notes on deck for that. We're going to weave that in here. Come on back to Jeremiah 23. I'll lay your wood here too. I mentioned that because we were talking about this, something we didn't went over before, and we was discussing the other day. Somebody else said that on here too. Was that you? Yeah, Brother Joseph said the same thing. I missed your comment on that the lions represent Gentile in certain context. It do depend on the context in the verse. It do. Because and then sometimes it represent Yahuwah, and sometimes it represent false prophets. It just all depends. And you know, that's what we were trying to convey the other day when we were having that conversation about slaves. Like, when you're dealing with the Hebrew language, man, it's not a very complex language to learn. And it's not like English where you have words that can be confusing, but you can have one word and it can mean multiple different things depending on the sit down right there. Depending on the context of how it's being used. You can't do that right now, Joanne. No, this is not the time for that. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's hard for people to fathom. And it's understandable because we speak English, you write in English, everything you do is in English. The command of the language that you have is in English. Hey, no, take that out of there and bring it back. And you're gonna do what you want to do anyway. And you have to pay attention to that, man, because things can have a multitude. It's just be the context. I mean, it ain't no other way to put it. Hey, man, cut the crap. No, you can't have that. Yeah, you see, I was saying there's a predecessor of the nations that. Oh, tenfold. We was in verse 14, Jeremiah 23. I've seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem a horrible thing. They commit adultery, they walk in lies, they strengthen also the hand of evildoers, that none do return from his wickedness, and they're all unto me as Sodom and the inhabitants of Gomorrah. That's how you know these niggas ain't no shepherd, because you strengthening wicked niggas. See, let me tell y'all something, man. Because I've been accused of this here because these niggas is uncaring and stupid as hell. And that's this. Just because I understand your thought process of how you arrive at a decision does not mean that I'm justifying you or strengthening you in your wickedness. I need to understand your mind and how you arrived here. Remember how he tell you, he said, I know your frame, but you're but dust. If you desire to want to be a laborer in this man's vineyard and have a care for his sheep, then you need to have an understanding of how people arrive to the decision making, so that you can give them the best course of action so they don't make that decision again. Seeking to understand somebody is not strengthening their hand. That's what sucker niggas say, who really just want to condemn, rebuke, and judge people on a regular basis. They don't really want to help you improve so you don't make the same bad decision again. These niggas strengthen other whores. These niggas strengthen other liars. These niggas strengthen other extortioners. These niggas strengthen other thieves. You know what I'm talking about? By making them feel comfortable in their conduct as if it was nothing wrong with their behavior, coming up with a multitude of excuses to justify it, especially those who will say they are teachers of the word, because you should have taught your funky behind not to sleep with another man's wife. You should have already had taught yourself to not be sleeping with the women in the congregation. Niggas been in the word 30 years and you still stupid. And you think because you got time and videos and you've been on the street, but you ain't got control of your lust, blood. How you do something for 3 decades and you ain't mastered it? 3 decades? I'm not exaggerating this here. I know several dudes who've been in this word 20, 30 years, man. And it's like, why are you still doing this? Because clearly this ain't what you want to do. Clearly this is not what you want to do. And then you have the utter unmitigated gall, the negacity to want to instruct other people. How dare you? These are hirelings. You understand that? These people do not work for this man. Let me read y'all the definitions of that in Luke 17:9 before it slipped my mind. Luke 17:9. I'm gonna run that real quick, like. Well, I gotta read it from 7. He said, but which of you having a servant plowing or feeding cattle will say unto him by and by, when he is come from the field, go and sit down to meat? And when I rather say unto him, make ready wherewith I may sup, and gird yourself and serve me till I have eaten and drunken, and afterwards you shall eat and drink. Do he thank that servant because he did the things that we were commanded him? I trow not. So likewise, when you shall have done all the things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which was our duty to do. What is an unprofitable servant? If you recall, this is akaryhos. This is useless, good for nothing, or unmeritorious. What does that mean? You are not a servant who got this job based off your own merit, skill, or ability. You are not someone who got this job off of your own skill, will, or ability. That's not how you got it. That's why he say, without me, you can do nothing. You're useless. It's forth as it pertains to this man's job if he is not with you. See, people think you studied your way into being a teacher. That's how I know you don't work for God. You don't become an apostle, a pastor, a bishop, a teacher. You don't become any of those things based off your own merit. Not your own study, not your own skill, not your own intellect. When you do that, you remove Yahuwah from the equation. And I know God ain't with you. And now what is duty? Remember, that's ophilo. That's to owe money, to be in debt. The goodwill due. You owe this man. You remember what he said in New Jack City. You owe, Pookie. You owe. Let's see how you owe. You was dead in your trespasses and sins. You owe this man. So when you sit back and look at it, you can't be a hireling. You know what I'm talking about? That's right. I'll grab it and say, you can't be a hireling because you're not being paid. He didn't bring you into this labor because he can't set to compensate you with natural things. But again, we already know that a laborer's worthy of his hire. That's a different conversation. What we're having a conversation, we're having two things. These two things are not diametrically opposed to one another. It's not a contradiction. It means that if you have the job, you doing it because you know that you owe God and he has chose you to do a job. So therefore you go do the job and you'll put your life on the line for that which he has set you over. See, when you getting paid, when you a hireling, you only going to go as far as the payment goes. Oh, the check ain't cleared? I can't do it. The people ain't putting no money in the plate? I can't do it. You know what I'm talking about? My wife want to take a vacation. I can't preach this week. That's right. You receive without giving, so give without pay. Very indeed. Let's look at that John 3. I put out there. Freely you have given, freely, you know what I'm saying? Freely you have received, freely given. You got to get out here and get to the work. But it also it goes back to the Jeremiah 9 that we talk about all the time. Let he that esteem if that he understand and knoweth me. That I, Yahuwah, exercise loving kindness, righteousness, and judgment. These are the things that I take pleasure in. See, people who work for Yahuwah would sit back and understand that they would esteem that they know Yahuwah and have the ability and gift to cause others to know Yahuwah so that we may all praise Yahuwah together. Not to bring attention towards them. This is why he said, he that speaketh of him that sent him, the same is true, and there's no unrighteousness in him. These are the things this man give you to pay attention so you know who's a hireling and who works for God. There should be no confusion ever at any time who works for Yahuwah and who don't, if you know the word for real. You should never be confused. When you're confused about who work for God and who don't, and who serve God and who don't, it's because you don't know the word like you're supposed to. And whose fault is that? Well, that fault can only come down into two equations. Either you dealing with somebody who has actually sought not to declare unto you the whole counsel of God, or you were not more noble than those in Thessalonica, and you didn't search the scriptures daily to see if those things were so. And that's your fault. I told you that since day one. You may have not heard it the first time you clicked in here. You may have not heard it the first time you say, hey, man, I heard about that work them boys selling around there, man. I'm going to go around there and buy some. But if you kept coming around here to cop, you definitely don't have heard this here, man. If you sit here and you listen to me drop some word and you ain't go back in this book and verify that that's what this book said, I wouldn't care if you was following along as we did it. That's your fault. There is no rhyme, reason, or excuse. That ain't none of you going to search the book to make sure everything that you bought from here, that this book said what it said in the proper context with the right understanding. Your life on the line. You should not be sitting around bobbing your head to the beat just like, yeah, I know bro wouldn't lie to me. It don't matter if you don't think I would lie to you or not. That is irrelevant. That is your duty. That is your responsibility as a man to make sure whoever is disseminating information to you, that information is just and correct when you get it. No excuse. And y'all know how I see that. I do not want to hear that. There is no excuse. Amen, Crosby. Ain't no excuse. You need to make sure that book say what it say. You shouldn't be putting that much trust in no man. That's crazy. You better be searching the scriptures daily to make sure that these things are so. Or you're going to keep getting lied to. You're going to keep getting led astray. You're going to keep getting tossed to and fro. You can't do that. Not as no grown man. Y'all got wives and kids. John 3:27. After that, I'll read this Proverbs 9 and 10. John answered and said, a man can receive nothing except it be given from him from Shamayim. You yourselves bear witness that I said, I'm not the Hamashiach, not that I am sent before him. He that hath the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom which stand and hear him rejoice greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. This my joy, therefore, is fulfilled. He must increase, I must decrease. He that come from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly, and speak of the earth. He that come from Shamayim is above all. And when he hath seen and heard that he testified, no man received his testimony, he have received this testimony that set to his seal that Elohim is true. For he whom Elohim have sent speak the words of Elohim. For Elohim give not the Ruach by measure. The Abba loved the Son and have given all things into his hands. He that believe on the Son have everlasting life. He that believe not on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim abide on him. And you know, to believe on the Son is to believe on him, as the scripture has said. How Genesis to Malachi say. Not just because you read something in the Gospels and you believe that that's what it is. No, you need to know that you believe on him as his witnesses laid out. So you need to know the scriptures. You know what I'm talking about? That he is who he said he was. That he is who he is proclaimed to be. And that's your responsibility to search the scriptures to make those things are so. You know, Proverbs 9 and 10. I'm gonna give you verse 5 over. I got something in verse 1, but I'm gonna wait. I go too far. We're gonna get off the beaten path. He said, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine which I have mingled. You know, that aspect of drinking wine and eating bread is a theme that is throughout the text quite a bit, which is why I always wonder why some people be having a problem with that. But mingled is mashak, meme, samak, kaf, to mix, to mingle, to produce by mixing. Wine with spices. So, of course, you know, he coming to tell you, man, drink my blood and eat my flesh. And listen when he said, when you've done this, peace, man. He said, do you introduce them to Christ in the New Testament and then search in the Old and confirm? No, sir. No, sir. I mean, I can, you know what I'm saying, by the grace of God. But I would say that as an individual, until you are actually skilled in that vocation, it is best for you to build your complete foundation of understanding him from Genesis to Malachi first, so that you can have a stronger understanding of what Matthew through Revelation is imparting. Because Matthew through Revelation is telling you the beginning at the end. Genesis to Malachi is telling you the end at the beginning. So you need to have a strong understanding of Genesis to Malachi before taking somebody in the New Testament to say, you see, so when you look at it and you be like, hey, he did this here, this is why. And then you, boom, he said this is why he said it. This happened, this is why it happened. Paul wrote this and he was saying this is why he said it, this is where he get that from. You can't do that until you believe on him as the scripture have said. Because you have to remember when the men were going about doing what it is that they do, all they had was Genesis and Malachi. You remember these epistle letters are letters that are being written to congregations that have already been taught in the Gospels and have been taught the law also. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody likes to call them scriptures, but those are letters. They are not scriptures. Those are not scriptures. They literally says the epistle to the Romans. This is a letter to congregations, either of exhortation or rebuke or information. Shalom, Azamane, on things that this man taught these people. And when I say this man, I'm referring to Paul, John, Peter, and James. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's the letter to Titus is Paul's letter to a pastor who he taught. Paul's letter to Timothy is to a minister, to a teacher who he taught. Like he taught these two men. You know what I'm saying? And Jude is writing a letter to other believers in the congregation, as Peter was, as John was. Paul is writing a letter to a Roman congregation, to a congregation in Corinth. See, we don't look at it that way because everybody's telling you they scriptures and they're not. And one of the ways that I can test an individual to know if they versed enough in the word, if I say, hey man, you got to validate that epistle letter out of the Old Testament, and they catch an attitude with it or say they don't have to do it, I know God ain't something. I know they're not a skilled scribe, because a skilled scribe wouldn't say that. A skilled scribe would know, oh yeah, he said this because of this, that, then the third. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how the game goes. But I've ran into too many people who get offended when you say that this man letters aren't scriptures because they don't understand the difference. You can say the Gospels are scriptures, you know what I'm saying, and Revelation also. But Acts is literally the Acts of the Apostles. It's a detailed history of the work that those men did. Those are not scriptures. It doesn't make them any less valid. It's just stating what they are. You know what I'm saying? But I know that's hard for some of our people to grasp and understand. But he said, once you ate of this bread and drank this wine, look at what this man told you. Forsake the foolish and live and go on the way of understanding. One thing you got to understand, man, once you done entered into covenant with this man by drinking his blood and eating his flesh, quote unquote, man, you're supposed to leave stupid people alone so you can live and enter into the way of B'nai. You don't need to be holding on to idiots who purposely and willfully want to remain an idiot. Because it's not going to hurt them. It's only going to hurt you. Now, I know that that's easier said than done. But this is what the man has told us to do. He said, reprove not a scorner lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man. I skipped the verse. I'm sorry. Verse 7. He that reprove a scorner get to himself shame. He that rebuke a wicked man himself a blot. Reprove not a scorner lest he hates you. Rebuke a wise man and he will love you. Give to a wise and he will yet be wiser. Teach a righteous and he will increase in learning. See, this is something that a lot of people don't realize, man. When you turn around and you shoot wisdom to a wise man, he's going to be more skillful. And if you give, now you ask yourself, how can you teach a righteous man for him to increase in learning if he's already righteous? Let's take a look. It's still dealing with what we're talking about, which is shepherds and teaching. So it's all good. Now, instruction is not there, so it's just to give kakam, which is wise or skillful in technical work, wise in administration, shrewd, crafty, cunning, learned, a shrewd class of men. So again, this is making you a learned man. This is kaf, and mean. But it said, of course, you see just, you're going to always see Zadok. Anytime you see just, it's going to be Zadok. And it's going to say, and I think she put 2 Peter 1:10. So then you got, and will increase in learning. And learning is lakak, lamad, kuf, and kai. That is learning, teaching, insight, teaching power, or persuasiveness, doctrine, learning. You know what I'm talking about? But more than anything, how, if you're teaching a wise man, how does he increase in learning? How is this even possible? Now, when you got teach here, you have yada, which y'all know that's the word to know or to learn or perceive, to make known. So now when that changes the whole thing, because you don't see lamad there, which is usually the word used for teach a majority of the time. So it tell you that yada, or to cause to know, with a just man, he will increase in his learning. This is how you increase a righteous man, by giving him the experience of who God is. And that goes back to what we were talking about in 1 Chronicles 16 and Isaiah 52 and 7, which is sharing the gospel, the good tidings. The fact of that people don't want to deal with this. I don't remember. I think you've seen that there, like when they were talking about like sin is subjective to a lot of people. People don't understand that. Like and I mentioned this the other day. This is probably Monday, maybe yesterday. When people like, okay, how did he die for your sins? And we talked about this when we were talking about Deuteronomy 24 and 15. The thought process of Yahushua dying for your sins is so grossly misconstrued, because people don't understand what that means. It's when you see it in the word. Because we're like, well, if he died for your sins, why is people still sinning? That's not what that means. It's an act of reconciliation. It's an atonement sacrifice. He's atoning for the sins of Adam so that you can live forever. He's atoning for the sins of the covenant that the sons of Yasharal broke. You know what I'm saying? So when you read Daniel 9 and 24, as y'all already know, he's told you what he was coming to do. To finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to anoint the most Kadash, and to bring in everlasting righteousness. So remember when we were talking about that Jeremiah 31, when you have learned of him and his law is dwelling in your heart, now his word is in your inward man. You know him. Nobody needs to teach you to know your God or not sin against your God, because you're born of God and his seed remain in you. His word is inside of you. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's really that simple. It's really just that simple. It's not no more complex than that. Again, I've said this 1,000 times. The beauty of Yahuwah is the simplicity of his righteousness and his salvation. This beauty of his simplicity is in his righteousness and salvation. This man has not made this thing difficult for us to understand. That man view us as children. You might view yourself as a 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old individual, but you a child to him. And he interacts with us as such. The same way that you would interact with your grandchildren, with your nieces, your nephew, your son, and your daughter, he do the same. That's why he say, I know your frame, but you're but dust. So that he can have compassion on you. He's not looking at you, and this is why I tell you that about with your own children. If you can be able to have the patience and the long suffering and the ability to sit down and instruct your children, you can do that with anybody. You know what I'm saying? You can do that with anybody. But most people don't have patience, because you want people to pick up on what you want them to pick up instantly, because you're not considering their frame. You're not considering who you're dealing with. You're not considering who you're interacting with. You're looking at people from the prism of your own point of view, and you want them to think, behave, and act like you. Now, Yahuwah wants you to think, behave, and act like him, but he know you don't have his frame. So because he know you don't have his frame, he had pity and compassion on you to not toss you away or consume you in his wrath, because he know that you don't have that. He said, working for children with 9 years, I see why we're akin to children. Yeah, I mean, of course, as being an adult, it's hard for you to step back. Now, most of us are not old enough where you have adult children. You know what I'm saying? Some of you may have adult children. Let me tell you that. I said, I'm thinking about some of the people here but I know that there's some of you on here who have adult children. And though your children are adults, you respect them as adults, but you see them as your baby, and you want to interact with them, and you can see things from the vantage point of being a mother or a father with your child that they wouldn't be able to see because you're not viewing, they're an adult, but you're still viewing them as a child when you can see that there's wisdom and understanding that you can impart unto them. It's just how it goes. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, those brothers and sisters who are on here right now who have adult children, as Sister Regina just mentioned, you more than likely can attest to this. You know what I'm saying? But those of us who don't have adult children, that's not something that we're going to be able to grasp until y'all willing your children become adults. Jessica get to say that. See, in fact, I see myself doing that with my oldest. Yeah, you're not going to have that point of view until they become an adult. And then you'll see, and then you'll understand why Yahuwah operate with us in the way that he do. You say he 20. Oh yeah, he good and grown. You know what I'm saying? And it's a level of compassion. So you have to look at, like I mentioned the other day, what are you expecting from a 5-year-old? Why are you expecting adult understanding and execution from someone who doesn't have an adult mind? Yahuwah knows you don't have a godly mind, so why would he expect that execution for you? So he's going to walk with that long suffering and that goodness and that patience and that kindness until that's developed in you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really that simple. You know what I'm saying? And those who don't work for him, they don't have a desire to labor to make sure that is created in you because they just genuinely don't care. Let me read the 2 Peter 1:10 before I forget. Yeah, and and that's probably out of this here, but verse 9, he states how the Lord know how to deliver the godly out of temptations and to reserve the just unto the day of judgment to be punished. But you have those who walk after the flesh and the lust of uncleanness, and they despise government, presumptuous, self-willed, and are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. And when you look at that, despising governments, you have men who just despise authority. That's why you had dudes tell you ain't no congregations, ain't no teachers, ain't no leaders, because they hate authority. And when you hate authority, you hate God, because God doesn't operate in a system where there is no structure of authority. And again, you're not supposed to rule over the people with rigor or cruelty. See, you're supposed to already be able to ascertain if this person is ruling over us with cruelty, God ain't with him, and you leave. And you leave. You don't wait to try to figure out if God is with somebody when they're displaying conduct that is showing you proof positive that he's not there. If he say he delights in loving kindness, righteousness, and judgment, and with loving kindness he gonna draw you, and this person is ruling over you with force, cruelty, and rigor, God's not there. Why are you waiting around for 3 years to figure it out? You figured it out in 30 days. Get your black behind from around there. I remember one time, man, this dude called me, man. He said, man, God ain't with us in this congregation. I said, well, what you there for? Amen, Mother Sharon. Amen. It could be. I think some people just don't realize, like, bro, you could dip, bro. Now, this person went and made an exaggeration of it, right? But this was unsolicited information. He was like, man, I don't think Yahuwah here. The word is that they're in the third. My only response was, well, if you know that, why are you there? I didn't say nothing about individuals. I didn't say nothing about the situation. I didn't even ask follow-up questions. You telling me you don't believe that the people there ain't got no word to teach. You telling me you don't believe Yahuwah is there. Why are you there? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a question you have to ask yourself. If you telling me all these reasons why you believe God ain't there, why are you there? Because I'm going to tell you something. He said, wherever I go, my servant will go also. So if he ain't there, why you sitting your black behind there? Why you not trying to find your master? Because I don't understand sitting somewhere and talk about how God ain't there while you sitting there. That's retarded. Like, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. Now, maybe I'm just a different type of individual because I ain't never been in church and I don't understand that thought process. And maybe my viewpoint of it is drastically different. And if those of you who come from that environment, you can give me a different viewpoint so I can understand why people would stay. But coming from my point of view, with my life experience, I don't see how you going to sit there because I know I wouldn't. You know what I'm talking about? I'm out of here. I don't care how cool y'all think he is. I'm not staying around here, bro. If the word is trash, I'm not staying around here. I wouldn't give a damn. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this. I'm not going to do it. I don't want a fellowship with nobody that bad, man. Y'all got my phone number. Call me and holler at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that, bro. Well, you know why people stay on a job if it's not what it's supposed to be. They want that check. And I can understand what you're saying, but when you got bills to pay, as a grown man, whether you like it or not, you better take your funky behind to work till you find something better. Because as a grown man, you can't be looking for nobody to take care of you. You got to take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, it might be a tad bit different for y'all. But as a grown man, whether you like that job or not, because don't nobody want to hear, I quit my job, I ain't got no money, I ain't had a job 6 months. Man, you should have kept your job, nigga. Yeah, as a man, ain't nobody want to hear that side story. But I understand what you mean, though, wholeheartedly. But make sure, if the job ain't doing what you want, make sure you get another job lined up before you quit. That's if you got responsibilities. Oh, I know you. I don't think you're that crazy. You know, but some people is that crazy now. But all jokes aside, like, man, yeah, don't sit around now. Man, you who ain't command you to fellowship anyway? Don't you know that man say the punishment of the false prophet is the same as the person who seek unto him? If you have ascertained that this man is foolish, then forsake him. He didn't say forsake just regular people. He said forsake the foolish and live and go on the way of understanding. Get your black behind from round there. Proverbs 9 and 10. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, the knowledge of the Kadash, understanding. You see that? Yahushua told you he the Kadash one. The knowledge of him is where you get understanding. Where there's understanding, there's everlasting life. That's why he say get wisdom, but all you're getting, get some understanding. So let's finish this Jeremiah 23. I might get to the back end of, dealing with the shepherd part. We could take our time like we did on another one. I ain't got to try to speed through it. You ain't got to speed through it. There's many things that talk about this and many things that talk about teaching. And maybe this way it can assist individuals in identifying who got the word and who don't. Because I'm going to tell you something. I said it before. I say it again. I am not the harbinger. You say where I'm from, they say to a female too. I heard that. Listen, right? I'm not the harbinger nor the sole repository of scriptural knowledge, wisdom, and understanding by any stretch of their imagination. All that belongs to Abba through Yahushua HaMashiach. You can get the word from anywhere at any time, but you need to make sure that you're listening for the voice of the shepherd. And you need to make sure that this person truly and genuinely knows how to rightly divide the word of truth to bring forth the understanding that leads to everlasting life. I ain't talking about somebody who wants to cut up people's doctrines. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a word that saves. If that word is not going to be as a goal to motivate you, to persuade you, to become a new creature, to make a new heart and a new spirit, to be born of the word, to be perfected unto good works, to show forth the pattern of fruits made for repentance, that when he come check that fig tree, is fruit on it. Man, it best leave that alone. You know what I'm saying? Now, y'all grown and you can do what you want to do. You know what I'm talking about? But if I was you, I would walk away. I wouldn't participate in that personally. You know what I'm saying? If you do not have the maturity to know how to engage with people who have carnal scriptural conversations or debates. And most people are not mature enough in the word, probably at this present moment, to be able to engage with people like that where it won't be deleterious to your own salvation. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just being honest with you. This is a maturity thing. And I can't determine how fast you will mature. Only you and Yahuwah. That's between you and Yahuwah, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are mature enough to where you can sit and hear certain things. But guess what? You know what a sign of maturity is? Knowing that you can't sit there and hear and deal with certain things, and you don't. You know, some people are called that running. You know, or when you have a conversation with some brews and you be like, oh, no, you got it, bro. Oh, he running. Wicked man flee. You think because I don't want to argue with you, I'm running from you. You run when you're scared. Who are you to be scared of? I've ascertained that you're an idiot. And I dare not want to converse with an idiot. Because the only thing that can come from that is I'm going to be dumber for conversing with you. And I love myself enough to know that I don't want to be as stupid as you. I was taught better than that. So I'm going to refrain. You know what I'm saying? And that is very hard for some people to understand. You know why? Because most of you accept an invitation to every party that you're invited to. Just because someone invites you to a party don't mean you have to go. You know what I'm saying? You can say, you know what? No, I'm going to stay home tonight. You know what I'm saying? Your life be better when you do that. Because these boys feel like you're supposed to come to every argument that they invite you to. You don't have to. You can be like, you know, I don't want to do that. I'm cool. That don't mean you running. That means then you have to know yourself. I remember I told Zadok, who was in here earlier, I remember him and John had the Friday night frankincense going, the room going one time, and I told him, I'm like, yeah, bro, I know myself. And the level of stupidity that these dudes have, I couldn't debate with these dudes because I've been done went off on these dudes. He was like, yeah, at least you know yourself. Yeah, I know myself. I ain't gonna lose my salvation to arguing with a jackass. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm telling brother early. And I told you the other day, right? We were just talking about making content or whatever the case may be. Like when I'm on here with y'all, it's about y'all. So you know been a couple of people coming here acting stupid. You know, I talk to them, you know, hit them off with this work, made them know you finna get some words, so you know you go to hell when you reject it. But it has to come back to y'all because what we here for is really about y'all. But if I'm off the clock, and we used to do this a lot in 2015, 16, 17, not so much in 18, converse with a lot of brothers in the word. And I'm not a cantankerous and contentious individual. But if you come with that folly, I'll give you what you're looking for. You know what I'm talking about? And I can disrespect you in a very, very harsh manner without using any type of profanity whatsoever. And that's why I said what I said the other day, like, you make a video about me and you lying on me, bro, I'm going to come see you. Meaning I'm going to come holler at you and check you about what you talking about. You know what I'm talking about? And I don't know, make a video about you. I'm going to approach you privately, bro. Like, what's happening, cuz? What you got going on with that? We don't play them type of games. If somebody make a video and I see them mention one of y'all, I'm going to say something to this nigga. I'm going to say something to him. Right there on the spot. I may not never tell you about it, or if I tell you about it, it'll be long after I did it. But I'm not gonna let somebody say something about y'all in no video, and I know you and I know they lying, and I don't say nothing to them. I'm gonna say something to them. I don't play them type of games. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these dudes are very dishonorable. And they don't have any problems talking about people that they don't really know and making stuff up. And if I know you and I know that what they're saying is not congruent with your character, I'm gonna get some straightening about that. And if a nigga say something about me in a video, I'm talking about me. I don't care about it if you don't agree with what we preaching. I'm not gonna step to you about that. I don't care nothing about that. If you say something about me though, and you lying, I'm gonna come holler at you, B. I'm gonna come see you. I'm gonna come holler at you. Like, what's up with that? And if you got something to say about me, bro, you could have hollered at me. But since you didn't want to do that, We could do it how you want to do it. Get your StreamYard ready. And I'm going to embarrass you in front of your friends and family, my nigga. I'm going to embarrass you in front of the company. I don't play them type of games. I'm going to come see you. Period. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to come holler at you. Now, I ain't talking about no subliminals. I'm talking about if you put an address on that, I'm going to come holler at you. I don't entertain subliminals. If you ain't got the heart as a man to put an address on it, then it's not to even be entertained. You're not a man. You say my name and you lying on me, I'm going to come see you. Again, I'm not talking about somebody disagreeing with nothing we preaching on here. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. But nah, you're not finna get on here and say we do this or we doing that or we part of this and we part of that. I'm going to come see you. You know why? Because if somebody did a video about one of y'all and said y'all did that, I'm going to say something to that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Now, if one of them was to say y'all was a Mason or this, that, there, and the third, and I know you not, I'll let you know about that and you do what you want to do after that. I ain't even going to tell you what they said. I'm going to tell you, hey, man, you might want to watch this right here, man. Niggas talking crazy. And you determine for yourself what you're going to do. Because some of these dudes need to be checked for their reckless abandon of besmirching and dishonoring people's character who they don't know because they feel like they can do that for clicks and ad revenue. Some of these dudes need to be straightened because in another time of life, they would have got punched in their mouth. But nevertheless, so yeah, as soon as a person crazy, belligerent, rude, you got to separate. It is. It is. It is. You do have to do that, bro. You don't have to entertain people like that. You know, you'll get into a level of spiritual maturity when people can disrespect you and or be contentious or do certain things, and your initial response is not to attack. Because it's hard. Let's not be foolish now. Because just like when you see they did that to the Lord and he didn't say nothing, you know, he's our example. You know, it's written in Psalms 38, 39, this, that, there, and the third. Let's not be foolish to think to ourselves that when somebody says something about you, that you don't want to defend yourself. You have to have wisdom to know when to defend yourself and when not to. That's why, like I said, like if somebody say something about me and I'm going to come see you, meaning I'm going to come talk to you man to man. I'm going to be like, hey, yo, man, what's up with that? I'm going to come to seek to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to come at you on some no violence and like, nigga, let's fight this, that, there, and the third. But I'm going to holler at you and I'm going to give you, hey, here's my number, bro. You need to call me, bro, because I don't know what you got going on, but this is unacceptable. Most people are not used to that. As an individual, you just can't be walking around if somebody, get out my refrigerator, little girl. Get out of there. Now, who told you to do that? Put it back. I hope your mama knock your cheeks off your face. Jeremiah 23 and 14. You're in here stealing. I have seen also in the prophets, so this is Jeremiah 23 and 14, a horrible thing. They commit adultery, they walk in lies, they strengthen also the hand of evildoers, that none do return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me Sodom as inhabitants of Gomorrah. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood and make them drink the water of gall. For the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness going forth into all the land. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart and not out the mouth of Yahuwah. They say still unto them that despise me, Yahuwah have said, you shall have peace. And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. For who have stood in the counsel of Yahuwah? Who have perceived and heard his word? Who have marked his word and heard? My God, today. Behold, a whirlwind of Yahuwah is gone forth in a fury, even a grievous whirlwind, it shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahuwah shall not return until he have executed, till he have performed the thoughts of his heart in the latter days. You shall consider it perfectly. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken unto them, yet they prophesied. There's a lot of people, man, they're running out here, man. They don't work for this, man. You know what I'm saying? I know some people be like, see, you So what? Do you work for him? This, that? Yeah, I ain't say I did or I didn't. If what the Lord said, He said, if you don't believe me for my words, believe me for the work's sake. See, I will sit back and look at it like Jacob did. My righteousness gonna speak for me. Let the work I done did speak if I work for him or not. I'm not gonna argue with you about that, cuz. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that you ain't got to go back and forth with somebody about. If you know you work for Yahuwah, all you got to do is, hey man, my work speak for me, bro. That's the attitude you got to have. If somebody come at you and say, you ain't no servant of Yahuwah, hey man, my life speak for me. Let that be the judge. You don't need to try to push, prod, or cajole somebody with your words or try to show this and prove that when you know that that's what you own and what type of time you own and whether you work for. You don't got to do all that. I mentioned that is you ain't got to prove nothing to no sinner. You ain't got to prove nothing to no scoffer, and you ain't got to prove nothing to no mocker about the work that you're doing for Yahuwah. You ain't got to do all that. You get caught up in the game the devil wants you to play when you do that. That's when you turn around and you end up making it about yourself instead of Yahuwah. You ain't got to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Now you're going to have people, they're going to say personal things about you, and depending on what that is, you know what I'm talking about? Shalom, Jonathan. And depending on what that is, man, you can step to people about that. It's just how you do it. You know what I'm saying? If people are I wouldn't even say with pejorative attacks. People just coming with name calling and all that other stuff. But you know, if somebody is besmirching your character, you know what I'm saying, and questioning your integrity, yeah, man, you justified in stepping to them about that if that offended you. You know what I'm saying? For some people, their integrity being impinged upon don't mean nothing to them. But for some of us, it do. You know what I'm talking about? That means something to us. Like, oh, no, you're not finna do that, bro. No, you're not gonna do that. We're not going for that. Now, of course, this is a fine line of understanding when he say, you know, when people speak evil of you and cast your name as evil for the gospel's sake, rejoice. So you got to have wisdom to know the difference between the two. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to go be contentious and strife-filled, but hey, man, it don't make you wicked or ungodly or unfaithful if you step to somebody like, hey, cuz, what's up with that, what you said, bro? Because that's offensive to me. If you're a man of honor and integrity and somebody is besmirching your honor and integrity, that is offensive to you. You know what Scarface said, bro? She don't know what he said. He said, all I have in this world is my word and my balls. And I won't break them for anyone. You know what I'm saying? Now, most men who've seen that movie didn't know what that line means, but what is he saying? He said, the only thing I have is my word and my manhood, my integrity, and I will not break that for anybody. So when you're a man who live by that and somebody is trying to say that you have broken your integrity, that is highly offensive to you. You know what I'm saying? Men of no integrity do not understand the level of offense that men of integrity will have when you speak ill of their integrity. Because most men are not men of integrity. That's why that type of stuff don't offend them. Most of these dudes are suckers. Most of these dudes are busters. They're evil. They don't have any integrity. That's why they so quick to speak on Jacob when the book say he was a perfect man. He was a man of integrity, and they quick to put their mouth on him. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at most of these people out here, man. They quick to speak on men more righteous than them. While you still around here dealing with all type of lust and wickedness you got going on. John chapter 10. I can tell you, man, thank you who for it. Even in my ignorance of the word, man, I ain't never speak down on no man in this book. It never ran across my mind. And I can only give thanks to Yahuwah for that. That ain't no goodness of my own, I can tell you that much. And even as I began to learn the word, I never sat back and thought, oh, I'm more righteous than these people, or I'm more godly than these people. Like that's an idiotic mindset. How can me, an individual who was mired in trespasses and sins and ignorance and all manner of, as it says in James, superfluity of naughtiness, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I contributed to the delinquency of many. There's never a time where I can sit back and say to myself that I'm better than any man who has a memorial in his book when I know the things that the wickedness that an individual was privy to at a particular time in their life. And it doesn't matter if you weren't doing what these guys were doing, you still were doing evil. So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I praise you, who. You know what I'm saying? But some of us, when you get in your pride, and that stuff happens. And we have to make sure that we stay on top of that. Now, I would say most of you probably not prideful in that area. A lot of times that pride come in from your lack of desire to take accountability and responsibility for certain things. You know what I'm saying? I don't think most people think they so righteous that they're better than the people who came before them. You know what I'm saying? That's reserved for a special type of stupid. But you can definitely get caught up in your pride in certain areas, man. And you got to make sure you keep that regulated. But John 10 and 12. But he that is a hireling and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, see the wolf coming and leave the sheep and flee, and the wolf catch them and scatter the sheep. The hireling flee because he is a hireling and care not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd and know mine, and I'm known of mine. And as Abba know me, even so know I Abba, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice. And there shall be one fold, one shepherd. And this is pertaining to Ezekiel, amen. And this is pertaining to Ezekiel 37, by the way. But let me run some of this stuff down for him, because they were talking about this the other day, and she said that, it had her confusions for a little bit. And it was the aspect of the new heaven and new earth. So let's look at Matthew 5 and 17 first. Now, some people will tell you, full preterists, by the way, they'll tell you that the heaven and earth from a Hebraic perspective was the temple. You know what I'm saying? And that sounds good, but I don't care how a Hebrew thinks. What's Yahuwah's perspective? That's where people get things twisted up, as they talking about. Remember, he told you that in Isaiah 40 and what, 31 or 28? There's no searching of Yahuwah's understanding. I don't care how a Hebrew understood it, because a Hebrew can't deliver my soul from death. A Hebrew is not who I don't need a Hebraic understanding. I need Elohim's understanding. A Hebraic understanding does nothing for my soul. Now, some people may hear that and be offended. I care not. That's just the reality of the situation. When you get talking about a Hebraic understanding of how the ancients understood it for the word of Yahuwah is concerned, that's when you start dealing in how you get caught up in the doctrines and commandments of men. And you have to be able to tread lightly with that, because you got to be seeking Yahuwah's understanding. Because what man understands and what Yahuwah understands are two different things. And they're not always mutually exclusive. Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill. But I truly say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law until all be fulfilled. So, of course, he can't come destroy the law and the prophets, because he has to fulfill what was written of him in them. But he said, when heaven and earth pass, heaven and earth will not pass until everything that is written has been completed. So that means every line, every verse, every promise, every prophecy has to be completed until heaven and earth passes. Now, you know that heaven and earth was created in Genesis 1. We can all agree on that. So when we come to Isaiah 65 and 17, it says, for behold, I create a new heaven and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. Now, it references a couple of things, and I think I referenced this when we were discussing it. I want you to come to Jeremiah 3 and 16. I got to work two books right now, so we're going to draw it out. Make it go longer than it needs. Jeremiah 3 and 16. It shall come to pass when you be multiplied and increase in the land in those days, saith Yahuwah, they shall no more say the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. Neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done any more. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahuwah, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Yahuwah, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. Now, of course, y'all know the Ark of the Covenant What was on top of it? Kippareth, or the mercy seat, or the throne of Yahuwah. Remember, it tell you that the throne was covered by the two cherubim. Psalm 99 tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I can read that for you if you like, just to give you a visual. You can read Exodus 25 about the creating of the mercy seat and the cherubims covering it. Psalms 99:1. Yahuwah reign, let the people tremble. He that sit between the cherubims, let the earth be moved. Now he has told you two things. The former heaven and earth will not be remembered, and there will come a time where you will no longer say the Ark of the Covenant, nor will it be remembered or visited or thought upon, because the throne of Yahuwah will be in Jerusalem. So now we go to Ezekiel 48. I'm going to come back to Isaiah 66 in a minute. There's other things in Isaiah 65, but that's going to take us down a whole nother road. That for the sake of this momentary conversation, we don't want to go down. Now, when we come to Ezekiel 48, and I'll go to Zechariah 14 after this, and I'm going to read verse 35. Now, when you start at verse 30, it's telling you the name of the city. Now, when you look at Ezekiel 40, when you look at Ezekiel 34, it tells you about the sheep and the shepherds. Ezekiel 35 tells you about the blasphemy of Mount Seir and how Yahuwah say he has heard that blasphemy. Ezekiel 36 is dealing with how he has gathered the people. Ezekiel 37 is when he's take those two sticks and made them one, and they will have one shepherd. That's your reference chapter for that John 10, when he said there's another fold and they shall be one shepherd. That's not Gentiles there. That's the whole house of Yasharal making them one. That's why the shepherd only has one wife, aka 1 Timothy 3:1. That's why a bishop only have one wife. But that is another conversation for another day. And then you deal in Ezekiel 38, is talking about Gog and Magog rising up against Yasharal after Yasharal has been delivered and been dwelling in the land of unwalled villages. Ezekiel 39 begins to talk about the cleaning up of the earth, of the burying of Gog and Magog's bones. And then Ezekiel 40 begins the process of discussing to you the kingdom of Mashiach. And then, of course, there's a transition into the kingdom of heaven, which is when the Father comes to dwell with man. And that's where you see in Ezekiel 47 where the tree of life is mentioned. Now, we've talked about this before when you look at that Revelation 22 and Ezekiel 47 and what was mentioned in Isaiah 65 and 17 and Matthew 5 and 17, that one jot from one tittle from the law won't pass away till all be completed, because Isaiah 52 and 7, he told you that he would, not 52 and 7, 51 and 3, I'm sorry. He told you that he will make Jerusalem like unto the Garden of Eden, or the paradise of God. And I know in Revelation, he said, he that overcome will he give right to the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. When you look at the Garden of Eden the first time, you know, the tree of knowledge of good and evil is there in the tree of life. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is the law. When you go look in New Jerusalem, the tree of knowledge of good and evil is not there. You know why? Because we just read in Jeremiah 3 that he said they will not no longer walk after the imagination of their evil heart. Zephaniah tells you that everyone written there will not speak lies and they won't sin. Isaiah chapter 4 says the same thing. Because remember, as Paul wrote in 1 Timothy chapter 1 about verse 10, the law is not for a righteous man, but for sinners. So if everyone who is in the kingdom of heaven is not a sinner, then there will be no need for the law, because there is no sin there. That's why Paul wrote, well, there is no law, there is no sin. That's why there was no sin in the Garden of Eden, which is why he's making a new heaven and new earth, because it's sin under this heaven and it's sin on this earth. Innocent blood has been shed on this earth. This earth is defiled. All the illicit hunching that's been going on here, but you got booty bandits around here. You got train runners around here. He told you that in Amos. Two men going into the same woman. Boy, that's abominable to Yahuwah. That's defilement, man. That's wickedness to him. Any man who's been laying up with a woman while she on her cycle, that's defiled. This land is defiled. Remember, this land was defiled when he flooded the earth. And we're going to read it to Peter. This is the same heaven and same earth that was defiled when he flooded it. It ain't got no better. You niggas still evil. You know how you know? Because all us been evil. Ain't none of us free from participating in the evil at some point in our life. We all have. That's why you need a Savior. But nevertheless. So it begins to talk about the gates of the city. These are the same gates in Revelation 21 and 12. These are the gates of the city that's being manifested in when he say the new heaven and new earth come down. But nevertheless, 48 and 35, and it says, and it was round about 18,000, and the name of the city from that day shall be Yahuwah is there. So he tells you the name of the city from this point is that Yahuwah is there. You understand? So let's look at Ezekiel 37. Now, Ezekiel 37, I know I said something else. I can't remember what it was. And 27, well, I'll make it 26. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It will be an everlasting covenant with them. I will place them and multiply them and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle shall also be with them. And yea, I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Now, Isaiah 45, and I want to say 17 says this. But Yasharal shall be saved with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. For thus saith Yahuwah that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it. He established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I, Yahuwah, none else. He said, would you explain the scripture about the smoke of the torment will be seen forever? I was trying to tell a friend everything is new. He wouldn't remember. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you that. Because you will actually see people who are burning in hell. Let's come over here to 2 Peter chapter 3. Yes, Mother Shalom. We could actually see the people who burning in hell, according to Isaiah. He said, because they will be an abhorrence unto us. Second Peter chapter 3. That's 1 John. That don't help us out at all. 2 Peter chapter 3. I'll look at verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved. Matter of fact, let me back this up. Verse 10. For the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned. Now let me reference to y'all what he's referring to. Because he's referring to this in Isaiah 51 and 6. Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment. And they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Hearken unto me, you that know righteousness, the people whose heart my law. Fear you not the reproach of men, neither be afraid of their revilings. So he told you that, he going to burn all that up. That was Zechariah 14. So we'll get it over in a minute. He says, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all kadash, conduct, and godliness, looking for and to hasten unto the coming of the day of Elohim, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwell righteousness. So let's take a look at what this is. Zechariah 14, and then the Revelation 21. That's Zechariah 14 dealing with the throne. 14 and 9, or 14 and 7. And this is why you'll see Yahushua when he say, no man know that day but the Father. This is why he said it. Zechariah 14 and 7. It shall be one day which shall be known to Yahuwah, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass at evening time, it shall be light. And it shall be in that day, living water shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them towards the former sea, half of them towards the hinder sea. And summer and winter, it shall be. Pause. Now, when he says summer and winter, it shall be. Remember, this is what you got to remember. Genesis 8 and 22. Remember this out your law, because he said summer and winter, it shall be. And the new heaven and new earth ain't no seasons. And remember, it's only 2 seasons with Yahuwah. So he said, while the earth remain, seed time, harvest, cold, heat, summer, winter, day and night shall not cease. Remember, he told you there'll be no need for the sun because there'll be no what? No night there. So when you see him say summer and winter it shall be, this is when you know you're in the kingdom of a Mashiach. And a new heaven and new earth hasn't been made yet. You know what I'm talking about? Now, I know it's hard for us to fathom. And for me personally, because I ain't really know no word, the understanding that he imparted, it was, hey, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have any allegiance to anything either way. You know what I'm saying? Because I never had thoughts if I was going to go to heaven or any of those things, because that just wasn't a tangible reality for me personally. You know what I'm talking about? So, but I look and seen that it was always his desire to dwell with man. But man had other thought processes and the things that man wanted to participate in. But nevertheless, in verse 9, Zechariah 14, and Yahuwah shall be king over all the earth, and in that day there shall be one Yahuwah, and his name one. And this is where you get that 1 Corinthians 15, where the Son will deliver all things up to the Father, and it will be all in all. You understand? So what it is, Revelation 21, then Isaiah 66. So when you come over here to Revelation 21 and 1, I saw a new heaven and new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the Kadash city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of Shamahim, prepared as a bride adorned for a husband. And I heard a great voice out of Shamahim saying, behold, the tabernacle of Elohim with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their God. God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. There shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. He said, having no prior binding is a way of saying, I don't know. I can't even say, man. I can't even say. I've heard people say that. Now, Brother Joseph said having no prior binding to religious affiliations, a way of saying not defiled by women. He said, I believe so. I can't say either way, to be 100% honest with you. When I look at that aspect of not being defiled by women, I see that from a literal standpoint, because Yahusha did not have physical intercourse with a woman. You know what I'm saying? It's quite possible. I don't think Daniel did either. And I know he told Jeremiah not to take a wife in that city, so he may have not either. But I'm not against anyone who holds that particular point of view that you just referenced. I just genuinely can't say. You know what I'm saying? We've had that conversation in the past with some people, though. You think I'm supposed to be scared of you? You think you cute? You can do anything, huh? Yeah, that's what you think. I hear you talking, little Joanne. When you look at those former things, we could look at that as a multitude of things. It's like one Sharon say how some people say you won't remember former things, or people say you won't remember people from your past life. I don't know about that, because it says the Lord told you that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob would come into the kingdom, and so someone would know who they were. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it goes as far as that. But I do believe that all, as he said, those that are in Mashiach are a new creature. All the wickedness and sorrow and pain and trouble and all types of folly that have been done under this heaven and on this earth, that won't be remembered. All the evil. Oh, yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I always looked at that in the literal sense. In the literal sense. You know what I'm saying? But that's not to say that it couldn't be that. You know what I'm saying? I can't definitively say no, but when I look at those words in the Greek, I take that as in the literal sense. And he that sat upon the throne, and behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. He said unto me, it is done. I'm the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end. and I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. And of course, I mentioned to you verse 12, it started talking about those gates that you've seen in Ezekiel 48, which is after the new heavens and new earth is made. And then verse 23 tell you the city had no need of the sun, neither the moon to shine in it, for the esteem of Elohim did lighten it, that the Lamb is the light of it. Because if we were in Shamahim with him, then there would be no need to mention the moon or the sun as far as light is concerned. You know what I'm saying? Because why would you need a moon and sun for light when Elohim is light and no part darkness? That's why there's no moon there, because there's no darkness there, because there's no sin there, because there's no death there. That is valid, good sir. That is valid. If you recall, we didn't talk about how basically at his return, he gonna redo creation. And then with the new heaven and new earth, he gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying? So that is very valid. Isaiah 66. and 21. Yes, ma'am. We about to read it right now, Mother. We about to read it right now. Isaiah 66 and 21. And I will also take of them for priests, for Levites, saith Yahuwah. For the new heavens and new earth which I shall make shall remain before me, saith Yahuwah. So shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come past from one new moon to another, which means from month to month, from one Shabbat to another, which means from week to week. And you can read about that in Ezekiel 44, 45, 46. Shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahuwah. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For the worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Now, the place where the lake of fire, the valley of Hinnom, the valley of Tophet, that's a literal location. You can find it in the text I just told you. Look up the valley of Hinnom, look up the valley of Tophet, and that is the exact location of where the lake of fire will be, which is right outside the city. You know what I'm talking about? And you can see them. So when he say the smoke of their torment burn forever and ever, yeah, it's right there. You can see it. That's why he said there'll be abhorring. You're going to be disgusted. Let me tell you what abhorring means, just in case. Abhorring, the haron, an aversion, an abhorrence, an object of contempt, to be repulsed. You would be repulsed. You will hold them in utter contempt because Yahuwah has held them in utter contempt. That's why they're in that particular location. Matter of fact, 1 Samuel 2 and 34. I ain't even get to Saul's trip. I need to get off of here. We 2 hours in. First Samuel 2. No, it's 23. No, that's not what I want. The brother will say they'll be lightly esteemed. The last thing you want to do is have this man be like he lightly esteems you. Because that's a dangerous place to be. Yeah, 1 Samuel 2 and 30. Say, wherefore, Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, I said, indeed, your house and the house of your father shall walk before me forever. But now Yahuwah say, be far from me, for them that honor me I will honor, and them that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. See, the people, remember what it said in Isaiah 66? Of the carcasses of the men that transgressed against me. See, these are people who rebelled against him. That means that they despised him. And remember, he said, those that hate him, he'll pay them back to their face. So since you despised him, he will hold you in light esteem. He will hold you in absolute contempt. Like at the end of the day, people who go to hell are going to hell because they despise the man. So therefore, he doesn't have any regard for you. Like, that's a fair swap. See, most people are like, well, what type of loving God would do this, that, there, and the third? And it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? We're so comfortable of holding people who have a care and concern for your well-being or have a desire to see you elevate from a lower state, and you holding them in contempt, that you think that that is the way that everybody behaves. So you think God should behave like that too, because people who don't love and value and respect themselves do that. So you think God shouldn't love and respect himself either, but he does. He does. And the way that he conducts himself is a lesson for all of us to learn. You can still be merciful and patient and kind and good to people who don't fool with you, but you don't have to fool with them in the capacity where they have to be intimately involved with your life. You can walk away from them. When they hold you in contempt, when they forsake and abandon you, you're justified in doing the same, because you love and value, respect yourself enough that you will not allow people to just do you any kind of way to prove that you're some kind and thoughtful and loving person. That doesn't prove that you're a kind and thoughtful, loving person. It proves that you're a jackass. You know what I'm saying? And when I say jackass, I mean in the regard that you have not learned to love and respect yourself enough that people know that if they do you any kind of way, that you just not going to be there to be walked upon. Being merciful and compassionate and caring is not about people just doing you any kind of way and you keep being there to get kicked in your behind. No. You have to love and respect yourself enough to say, I will not allow you to continue to disrespect me and treat me any kind of way and think that you're going to benefit from the love that I have. Since you have shown yourself unworthy of my love, I'll take it and impart it to somebody else. Which is exactly what Paul was saying. Since you deem yourself unworthy of salvation, I'm gone. I'm not going to sit here and beg you. I'm not going to do that with you. No, we're not doing that. That's a lesson to be learned. Yahuwah walked away. Didn't mean it didn't hurt. Didn't mean he didn't love you, but he loved himself more than allowing you to continually just flaunt, disregard, disrespect, dishonor him. And he just stay there because I love you so much. Because that's how we told it. That's what that is, man. The same way people tell you, like, love is not a noun. People will make you think it's wrong for you to love what somebody do for you. Well, love is an action word. So you should love what people do for you. If they don't do nothing for you, do they really love you? You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about no money stuff either, man. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people always love you when you give them some money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, nobody, and I'm telling you something that Joanne told me. That, like I told you, that's about the only thing I can remember she told me before she died, because she died when I was 6. She always say love is an action word, baby. It's something you do. She said you show love, you don't feel love. You know what I'm saying? I was raised like that, man. I never went into looking at love from an emotional standpoint. Ever. Just wasn't taught that way. Yeah, I wasn't taught that way. I was taught love is what you do. How you say you love God, but you don't do the things that he loves? How you say you love God, but you don't do things towards others to show that love? How is that present? Because you want emotion. Well, that's your flesh. And he told you those that are his have crucified the affections and the lusts. You should be able to feel love because people show love through their actions, not by how they make you feel. That's how you get deceived. Unfortunately, that's why so many young women have been deceived by dusty, no good, funky faced niggas. Because he made you feel a particular type of way. So you felt loved, but he didn't love you. Just like belief is an action. Indeed. It's beyond just knowing. Indeed. Like that's how, and I'm not saying that to be disparaging to women. That's how because most dudes know that if I can make a woman feel a certain type of way, she'll go for whatever. You don't have to like it, but you know that's what happens out here. You don't sit back and see, does this man show me from his deed that he care about me? As long as he can make you feel like he do. Slow him, brother. And that's how Satan comes. If I can make you feel, I can get you. That's not what Yahuwah do. That's how you know the difference. But hallelujah for Yahushua the word. Y'all willing, we'll be back on Wednesday. And but hopefully that helped. If you have some more questions that have been engendered or you had in your notes, y'all willing, we'll get to it. But I appreciate y'all. I bless y'all in the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all. Yahuwah willing, man, we'll be back at it on Friday and make it do what it do. If the Lord permit, you know. Shalom 10K. Shalom Eric, man. But yeah, y'all willing, man, we'll slice and dice and peace, brother Dave, and go through what we need to go through. Shalom 10K, Yahuwah Baruch, and make it do what it do from now. Yes, sir, so hold it down. Praise Yahuwah, man. Be safe too. I love you too, bro. And we'll just do it like that. You know what I'm saying? Take our time. Ain't no rush. Ain't that's what the song say. Take your time, do it right. You can do it, baby. Yes, sir. But if y'all ain't got nothing for me, man, y'all willing, man, we are out of here. And Yahuwah willing to Shabbat. You go ahead, man. I brought it up because we had done completed our task.